What's going, guys? Aarava here. Welcome back to my F1 2016 career mode. We're finally back with episode number 1 of season 2. I know a lot of you guys have been itching to see the start of this season, so we're finally here. If you missed the finale of season 1 or missed the intro video I put up earlier today on the channel, we have re-signed with McLaren Honda because, of course, that's the whole point of F1 2016 career mode on this year's game. The fact you can improve the car in-game, you know, the game mechanic is there for you to take cars from the midfield or the bottom right back to the top, and so that's what I wanted to do with McLaren when we started season 1. Obviously, back in season 1 we had a goal of 1 podium and we ended up with 2 wins and I believe 4 other podiums outside those 2 wins, so it was a great first fantastic season. Obviously we made the switch to Ultimate AI halfway through and we were actually on pace with them and we're doing really well, so I'm looking forward to this season. It's going to be an interesting one, especially at the start here, because obviously we ceased R&D at what was after the Japanese Grand Prix, I think it was, if I remember correctly. So we've got a lot of R&D points to spend. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how the car develops. And obviously at the end of Abu Dhabi, I finally sort of clocked in what we finally need to do on the upgrades, because we've done plenty of engine upgrades. But now in Season 2, it's time to get away from the engine upgrades. We've done 3 out of 5. So now we're going to focus on things like downforce and fuel efficiency. You can see we've got a lot of points on the top right there after ceasing the R&D, which is awesome to see. So we go straight in, purchase the second downforce upgrade, the monkey seat, and then we go on to purchase 2 fuel efficiency upgrades there. So 2 at a go, and that's really going to help out because you can see on the top, on the right hand side there on the bar, the orange is our potential growth in the R&D points. You can see this will just about get us very, very close to Red Bull and Ferrari. After spending these points on these 3 upgrades, we don't have enough to actually purchase another downforce upgrade, which is what I wanted. We could have spent another fuel efficiency one, but I wanted to spend it on downforce. So my thinking is now we'll pause here. We'll take a break. We don't need to go in too fast. We'll go into practice for Australia, see what we can do after qualifying and practice, and see if we can then buy this second downforce upgrade. Because if we could get 4 upgrades ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix, that would be absolutely fantastic. So we go into practice as per usual and do the practice program at Melbourne, the usual track automatization, the tyre wear test, the qualifying pace test. At this point, we're very, very familiar with how everything went, but straight away at Australia, of course, the last time we were here at Australia, our car was the default McLaren car, base car, at the beginning of Season 1, and straight away I could notice the upgrades we made throughout Season 1. It was great to see that I could actually tell the car turned in better, had a lot more smoother power exit out of the corners, and generally felt a lot better around Melbourne than it did in Season 1, which was absolutely great to see. And, you know, it does show the upgrades do work, and it's not just kind of a fake trickery of, you know, of the AI or whatever. And so after practice, we got enough points, so we're going to spend it on the 3rd downforce upgrade, and so we'll have 4 brand new upgrades working away in the orange, working away for the Bahrain Grand Prix, which is great to see, and hopefully that's the start of something beautiful to come, because you can see on the right hand side now, if you take into account the orange bar, the potential will technically be ahead of Red Bull and Ferrari. So at the Bahrain Grand Prix, will technically be the 2nd fastest car, although that doesn't mean too much because we've seen in Season 1 Mercedes were the fastest car all year round, but yet they didn't win every single race. So really the bars on the right hand side of that R&D screen don't mean too much, but it's promising to see that we're in the mix in the top 4 firmly. But anyway, we move on to qualifying. I need to say, guys, this season I'm going to be doing short qualifying, so 1 qualifying session only, because obviously I've said I'm going back to university literally this next week, so to save some time on me recording it so I can make sure I can keep this series up weekly, I'm going to do short qualifying only, because that saves me about, you know, pretty much 30 minutes, not having to do 3 separate qualifying sessions. You'll still get some strategy involved, because if we're out of the top 10 anyway, you can change the tyres, but obviously, as per usual, if you get into the top 10, you can't change the tyres. So anyway, getting on to the actual talking about the results there, we got into P6, Jenson Button down in P8 there, so pretty good. We got in between the Ferraris there, ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. Not exactly what I was hoping, but to be honest, Australia's never been my fastest circuit ever. It's not been a favourite of mine to drive. I just never can get in the flow, so I'm pretty happy with the result we got there, and it's not P7, so that's a good thing. That's not P7. We've made an improvement on P7. It's P6 now, so maybe that's the new qualifying position. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, but I'm looking forward to this. I hope you guys are. Let's go to the grid for the Australian Grand Prix. So taking a look at the strategy ahead of the formation lap, you can see our engineers are recommending a 2-stop with 2 super soft sets and 1 medium set. If I use my projected tyre wear, I could potentially use a soft compound of tyre right at the end. But looking back at Season 1, I remember that the game and myself, we overestimated how far the soft tyre could go really in reality during the race on heavier fuel. So I'm kind of less inclined leaning towards using the soft tyre. So for now, it looks like we'll use the 2-stop with the medium tyre set. But we'll see how things go. You just never know what's going to happen. And in the spur of the moment, it may feel like I've got enough pace potentially to maybe even use a 3-stop strategy. I'm just not too sure. Because obviously, we've been to Australia. We've now done one Australian Grand Prix in the Mclaren. But obviously, the McLaren I drove last season is very different to this one. I can clearly feel a different set of downforce on the car right now. So it's kind of going to be a very tricky one to compare to last season all the time. But I guess that's the kind of cool thing about being in the same car, but also seeing the progression of our car. But anyway, let's go to 5 red lights for the start of Season 2 today at the Australian Grand Prix. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway for this season. Vettel gets a poor start here. Verstappen's already caught him up. We're right in the slipstream. Can we make a move down the inside into turn 1? I wonder. Here we go. Diving down the inside. Hit the apex, and we're up into 5th place. Verstappen now chasing down the 2 Mercs who are fighting away. It's Daniel Ricciardo leading the Australian Grand Prix, his home Grand Prix. The 2 Mercs go side by side still. Hammer and tong into turn 3. Verstappen and myself maybe just kind of patiently waiting here, maybe to pick out some positions. I wonder even if Verstappen gets caught up, we could catch all 3 of these guys out as we go through the next swooping right-hander. These guys go very slowly. Verstappen goes slowly. Hamilton's being squeezed out by Rosberg. We go side by side with Lewis Hamilton. We'll just about squeeze him out there on the right-hander, and we're up into what will be 3rd place at the moment. So it's now Ricciardo from Rosberg, myself, then Hamilton, Verstappen, and then Sebastian Vettel. We've got a very poor getaway as we move now swiftly on to lap 2, getting a good run through that high-speed chicane on the back straight. Here we go with Rich Mix. Look at this straight line speed we've got on Nico Rosberg as we make a move down the inside for potentially 2nd place here in the Grand Prix. But Rosberg does well to keep it round the outside, even for this next right-hander there. He's still there on the left-hand side. He swipes across. We've got on the grass a little bit. We've hit the kind of brake board bollards, and so Rosberg very, very aggressive with his move there, and so he keeps 2nd place for now. We've lost a lot of momentum, and now you can see in the mirrors there on the left, Hamilton now right up our chuff, but we'll get again some great slipstream in tow with the Rich Mix. The car is working well in Rich Mix, just as I said at the end of last season at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It seems like the Honda engine comes alive once we put it into Rich Mix, and we have finally got that place up into 2nd, but that was very, very dicey. Rosberg coming across me very aggressively there, and we nearly made some contact with the wall. Thankfully, we just about dipped a tire into the grass and kept our composure there, and so we've made the move. We're up into 2nd place, and on to lap 4. Immediately the next lap, we're actually coming in for a very early pit stop, because during lap 3, my engineer Jeff told me there's a possibility to switch the strategy, make an earlier pit stop, and I did agree with him to potentially basically do an undercut on these guys, use the fresher tyres from this earlier pit stop to make sure we stay ahead of them. Because remember, as I said at the beginning of the episode, although we want to challenge these guys for the championship this season, our car is still very much the same car we ended last season with. The upgrades are still yet to come for the Bahrain Grand Prix, so we have to play it smart, we have to play it tactically, and so hopefully using the fresh rubber from this super soft set, our second stint, hopefully we can stay ahead of these guys and keep a 2nd place. But right now we're down in 22nd place, quite some way down as no one's made their pit stop yet. And on to lap 6, no one's yet to make their pit stop. 2 laps later, and we're still actually catching up to the guys who are all still in their first stint. But saying that, we've rapidly caught up to Nico Hülkenberg, who's trying to battle a Manor, just showing how bad Force India are these days in Season 2. We make a diving move down the inside of 2 of them. We are taking no prisoners at the moment because this early pit stop means we have to go as fast as we can, and we can't get held up by all these slower cars who are not in the same race as us, even including Felipe Massa, surprisingly, who's down here all the way in 18, so he's having a torrid time at the moment. He makes a pit stop, so he's in. So now we've got DRS off Perez, so that will actually help us a little bit catch up and kind of gain on NASA and effectively the rest of the pack as well. But all these guys on soft tyres, so they're going a little bit longer in the Grand Prix. Verstappen comes out just ahead of us. We'll go side by side. Verstappen was behind us, actually, so this has actually worked out in his favour. So it looks like the undercut didn't work as much as I wanted it to, and what my engineers thought. We go side by side with the Dutchman. We just squeeze him out there, but he'll actually stick it down the inside. Fair play to him. We go side by side, and he's just going to squeeze us out there. and we actually have to settle down for what will be right behind him in what will be, I think, 18th place. So at the moment, Verstappen is overtaking us with an overcut, effectively, or whatever the opposite of an undercut is. And so our engineers and myself, we've got it wrong there. So the undercut really didn't actually work as much as we wanted it to, because it looks like we'll be behind Verstappen, who is behind both Mercedes cars as well, so that's not really what we wanted. But on to lap 8, you can see Verstappen and myself getting held up by these slower cars. As I mentioned before, we need to pass him, and I actually used this opportunity to slide one cheekily down the inside of Verstappen as he gets kind of held up looking behind Nazar, who squeezes us very, very close to the grass there as he comes into the pits, and we've got a DRS off him, so maybe we can close up on Haryanto now. We're up into 13th place, so slowly climbing up the way. That was a Ferrari there, I believe Raikkonen that was, or Vettel, and so we're up into 11th place at the moment. Yellow flags, there's been an incident behind us, but we're going to try and rapidly close up to Haryanto, who's got some good straight line speed in that Manor car, and there's been a safety car deployed, and I want to guess that that's probably for the incident right behind us that happened. Yellow flags occurred into turn 1, so I'm guessing that's what it was for. But we put it down to lean mix to save the fuel, because obviously, as I mentioned many times before now, the McLaren, I've finally realised that it really is a different car in rich mix, so we save fuel there. But let's look at a replay now of what happened. So this was Verstappen going to turn 1. The Ferrari comes out. Oh, contact with the Ferrari and the Sauber. Sauber's into the gravel. Verstappen parks it at turn 1. So I'm guessing that's what gives the safety car deployed. Rosberg's lost a bit of his end plate there on the left-hand side. You can see there everyone's slowing down now for the safety car, just showing you where everyone is in relation to each other. But that was why the safety car got called out. Haryanto comes in on that same lap 9. I continue on, but unfortunately, later on in this lap, really did annoy me at the time. Later on in this lap, my engineer on lap 10 told me that it was maybe time to switch the strategy up and make a pit stop under the safety car. Now, when Haryanto came in on that very previous lap, I thought the same thing, and I wanted to come in and follow him in, but I thought, no, I'll continue on, because my engineer thinks, there's no possibility, and at the time, I wasn't really sure, so I didn't want to take the risk. But then on the very next lap, my engineer says, yeah, let's make a pit stop. So that really frustrated me, because effectively it would have been a lot better if we made the pit stop on that previous lap, because that would have been more of a free pit stop. Because this pit stop now, we're gaining less, because everyone's been on the safety car, including me, whereas on that lap, I could have made the pit stop and gained a bit of time on everyone. So we come out right behind these two Renaults, the Toro Rossos, the Haas car, the Saubers, and right now we're down in 17th place. So we really didn't make the most of this safety car period, unfortunately. But we're on another set of super softs, so we've effectively switched ourselves to a 3-stop strategy. So we've committed to a 3-stop today. We just have to hope and pray and kind of just gun it and just, try our hardest to gain the places there. But we're here on the safety car restart, and oh my god, Felipe Massa has just had an engine explosion. He's out of the race on the safety car restart. So quite enthralling and entertaining restart to the Grand Prix. There's Felipe Massa is out of this race. He was down in 18th place, so he's having a pretty torrid time there in the Grand Prix. But just add measure to misery there, and he's out of the Grand Prix. So now on lap 13, we've restarted, and now we'll try and close up on Marcus Ericsson later on onto the same lap, trying to close him down as he tries to make a move on Jody and Palmer. And so they go side by side through the high-speed chicane. We're going to hold back, try and get a better exit as they slow each other down, going side by side through that section. And now we have to try and find out where we're going to pass them. We move to the left-hand side, then to the right-hand side of this circuit, a bit on the grass, down the inside of both cars. We made that double overtake as Ericsson gets pinned out by Palmer, but we had to make that move because they were going to hold us up by so many seconds here. And now we've got this lovely bit of clean air to try and catch up to the next pack. So this is what this 3-stop's all about. We can't mess about with the moves. We just have to get in there, get it done, get past them, get in some more clean air to try and catch up to the next cars. Speaking of the next cars, we're right up now. Carlos Sainz, Toro Rosso on lap 14 now, through again the same section. Oh, really had to put on the brakes there on the exit as Sainz really brake checked me. Now we go down the inside of him and the second Renault of Kevin Magnussen, just slide down the inside, tapping tyres a little bit, but we just managed to get through into P13. But that was very close on the exit. I literally had to stomp on the brakes on the exit of pretty much a flat corner there because Sainz just rapidly slowed down for some reason, as I think he got caught up in some dirty air. Oh, but there's a Ferrari out. I think that was Sebastian Vettel out of the Grand Prix. I think Vettel spun it. I think Sebastian Vettel's out of this Grand Prix as we overtook also Pascal Wehrlein there, as I was talking about my move on Sainz. But yeah, that's a lot of action to happen in a few minutes. Let's look at what happened there on the replay. So this was Sebastian Vettel earlier on, up ahead of us on track, obviously. So this is, I believe, Verstappen going side by side with the Toro Rosso, and then Vettel comes down the inside of the Toro Rosso. They make contact, and a second bit of contact, and there is Vettel into the wall. He just gets no luck in my career mode, does he? Ever. Literally ever. And there's Vettel reversing onto the track and then going into the pit stop. So Vettel, very, very poor opening to the 2017 season, is now onto lap 15. We've caught up to Gutierrez there. And so we're making some good progress. So up into 10th place already, into the points. But obviously we have to do this being on the 3 stop. And now my team is asking me for a change of strategy. I'm going to just say stick with what we've got at the moment onto the soft tyres later on. But now we've rapidly closed up to Gutierrez, who again gets held up by my teammate Button. And Gafiat spot a gap between them, slice through like a hot knife through butter. And we just get through. That was a really, really satisfying move, I can say, because I had to really finely time that. There was a little bit of a gap. Just about enough room to fit my car through of between Kafia and Button, and I just timed it to perfection to kind of rapidly, really aggressively go from the left-hand side of the track to the right-hand side of the track, and we just timed that really well. I was so happy with that move, and now we're on the back of Valtteri Bottas. We'll make the move down the inside, and we're up into 6th place, so really working well here, this McLaren, on these super soft tyres. Although it's only for 6th place, I would have liked it to be a bit higher, but I really think the safety car actually hindered us quite a lot there. As you can see, Bottas tried to come back on my outside, but we're having none of it there, and we squeezed him out. And now on to lap 17, we make the pit stop for the soft tyres finally, and so this will be our last pit stop. We're going to the end of the Grand Prix now, but yeah, as I mentioned, I would have liked it to be a little bit higher up for maybe a podium or 4th place, but I actually think the safety car hindered us more than it helped us out, and also the early pit stop didn't help us either. So in hindsight, you know, what I can say towards the end of this Grand Prix is really, if we want to be challenging for podiums week in, week out on the career mode, we're going to have to stop making these strategic errors and try and, you know, calculate ourselves when the safety car comes out, when a virtual safety car comes out. Obviously, that's the stuff that makes championship-winning teams. You calculate everything properly, you run the numbers as it is a cliche, and you get everything spot on. And, you know, it looks like we do have some genuine good pace here. And obviously, with the upgrades we're making for Bahrain, hopefully we'll get better pace there. But we also need to make sure we nail the strategy. And today, I don't think we've done that, unfortunately. But it's still going to be a better kind of result than we got in Season 1, which just shows the improvement of our car. So we're on to lap 19 now. And you can see we got held up in the pits there, and we're actually behind Jenson Button and Bottas. So we actually lost the 2 positions we got before the pit stop phases because of that hold up with the Haas car. So now we've gone down the inside of our teammate there. Pretty easy move, and thankfully Button doesn't put up too much of a fight there. So thank you very much, Jenson. And now we can try and get on to the back of Bottas to effectively re-overtake him in this Grand Prix to try and get that place back. And it should be a net 6th place after people made their pit stops, because we've got a few people ahead of us who are yet to make their final pit stop in the Grand Prix. So not to worry, we're not going to be fighting down for 9th place as we move later on into the Grand Prix. Lap 20, you can see we're in 7th place now. People have made their pit stops, and this will be a move now for 6th place to get the good grip, good traction off the final corner. Good run on Bottas, slipstream, DRS wide open, move to the right hand side of the circuit, and we'll make the move down the inside, actually go back into the racing line before the braking zone even comes back to us, and we're up into 6th. And you can see Verstappen there on the medium tyres in 5th place. So at this point I thought, okay, potentially we could maybe try and catch Verstappen on the medium tyres. Maybe he's going to be slow enough on those harder compound tyres, but unfortunately, just didn't have the pace, tyre wear kicked in, and he just had too much of a gap to us. So, annoyingly, we were fighting him earlier on in the Grand Prix, but he was nowhere to be seen. He overtook Romain Grosjean, and it looks like Grosjean might be finishing ahead of us in this Grand Prix, because on the second last lap of the Grand Prix, we're not looking ahead of us, we're looking behind us, because Bottas is now coming back on the soft tyre. So, it looks like he's done some tyre wear saving, and some tyre saving, and it looks like he's going to come back at us now on the second last lap of the Grand Prix with DRS round the outside into turn 3. We'll squeeze him out here, not give him room, and it looks like Rosberg there is coming back in this Grand Prix after he had a bit of an end plate issue, remember, in that first phase of the Grand Prix. He's going to go side by side with Bottas, and that will help us out as they fight away. That's really going to help us out, because it means we stay in 6th place. Rosberg's into 7th, but he doesn't have enough time in the Grand Prix to catch up to us. He catches up right on the last bit of the straight of the Grand Prix, but will come through to finish ahead of the Mercedes there in 6th place. So a pretty okay Grand Prix. I think solid compared to what we obviously had in Season 1 here at Australia, but obviously I'm very hungry for more. I would have liked for some more in the first race, but we've got to remember, this car is the same car we had at the end of Season 1 at Abu Dhabi. In the game, there's no improvements made over the winter. The improvements are coming for the next race, so I think it's pretty encouraging that we've still managed to keep the pace going, especially at a track that I'm going to admit I pretty much hate Australia at this point. I've never enjoyed it on any game. I think it's one of the worst tracks to drive in my opinion. It just doesn't have any flow for me. It's a very awkward track for me to drive on personally, so I'm very, very happy to get 6th place here, albeit behind a Haas car, but with time, the upgrades will come. My favourite tracks will come into play, the ones I'm more comfortable at, and we can try and potentially get a win early on in the season, hopefully. Obviously, the Driver Championship is the same as the race results there. Hamilton won that race with Daniel Ricciardo getting a podium and Raikkonen there in 3rd place, but you can see at the moment, McLaren behind Haas in the Constructors, but don't worry, that won't be for too long, I'm hoping. But at the moment, Mercedes, still the fastest car in this career mode. I'm praying that's not the case all season long, because I've seen so many of you guys tweeting me that Mercedes are like your 2nd best or 3rd best team, and I'm just like here, like, where is this in my career mode? Can I get a slice of this action? Like, I'm still bored of Mercedes being right up there at the top in my career mode. So hopefully that can happen soon enough. But you can see, we installed the 2 upgrades, the 2 fuel upgrades, the 2 downforce upgrades earlier on in the Grand Prix. So those you can see the orange bars are filling up. So that will be coming in for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So I'm looking forward to what we can do with those upgrades and seeing how the car feels around the Sakir circuit. But guys, if you have enjoyed this first episode of my F1 2016 Career Mode Season 2, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know if you're hyped for Season 2. Obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episodes will be coming out a little bit slower than usual, so bear with me guys, but I'm back at university. I can't do much, so I'll try my best to bring them out weekly. So guys, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time for my next episode, whatever that will be. But yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of the day. I've been Aarava, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.